Welcome back to Simply Money. Today, we're going to talk about how to lower your bills and tips on saving money. We're going to look at a couple things here, and I just want to share briefly with you some tips because one of the things people are always concerned about is they don't have enough money. How can I save more? You talk about investing for the future, for retirement, all these different things, but I just don't have the extra cash. So there's two options. You can earn more money, get a side gig, get a pay raise, whatever that case may be, to make more income. But typically what happens is we end up going with lifestyle creep. The more we make, the more we spend. So we end up in the same situation, not being able to save and plan for our future. We're just living a little bit better now, which there's nothing wrong with that. We just need to make sure we're balancing that. Check out the video I did on avoiding lifestyle creep and check the link out on that. But as far as this topic, the second way to increase your ability to invest or to prepare for the future is to lower your expenses. One of the great things about lowering your debt, lowering your expenses is you don't require as much income. Thus, when you go to retire or to be financially independent, the amount you need in order to sustain your life doesn't have to be as high. You can watch some videos and they'll be talking about you need $2 million, $3 million in order to retire or be financially independent. That may be the case in some situations, but you'd be surprised if you lower your expenses and not doing drastic things. I'm not talking about eating rice and beans for the rest of your life. I'm not talking about not enjoying life and enjoying things now because you have to balance those. But I'm talking about just getting rid of some things that are unnecessary, wasteful, that aren't being productive, and using that to increase the amount that you can invest. Then not only do you have a lower cost of living down the road, you also have a greater nest egg to live and draw from. We'll go into some amounts that may be practical for people to retire, but there is no one answer. I've seen people who retire on $500,000, but they do fine because maybe they have Social Security or a pension, or they've just lived very frugally. Some people have less than that because they have higher Social Security, lower bills, etc. There's no one size fits all for any of this. And so that's why, as much as we provide advice and tips and scenarios, there's no answer other than digging into your specific needs, your specific abilities, what you have saved, what expenses you have, what lifestyle you'd like to live. Yeah, if you want to travel the world and you want to fly first class, you're going to need a bigger nest egg. But if you're willing to find ways to be frugal, you can be amazed at how much money you can retire on, and it's not as much as you would think. But before we get into that video, let's continue on this. How do I lower my bills? What are some practical ways? Well, first, let's look at the thing we need to do. Number one is assess your current expenses. In order to get a grasp on how you can save money, you have to assess it. You have to go to your bank account, look at your monthly bills, look at your checking account, look at your credit card if you use a credit card or a debit card, look at the transactions and write all of those out for several months. Look back and see what you have been spending money on. You would be surprised at areas that you're like, I didn't realize I was spending that much money doing X. I didn't realize I spent that much money going out to eat or ordering DoorDash. I didn't realize I was spending that much money on these subscriptions or these services. So you have to assess it. That's the first thing. You can't make changes until you do that. Two, we need to negotiate with our providers. Call your cable company, call your phone company, call your insurance companies. See if you can negotiate a lower price. If you can save $10 a month or $50 a month, whatever the case may be, that adds up, and that's money you can now loosen up to either help pay off debt or invest into your future. So be willing to negotiate. Speaking of lowering your bills, I have a quick break I'd like to share with you on Pocket Guard. So you're looking at ways to cut your bills. This is a great feature of Pocket Guard. I want to stop and share with you real quick on how this feature can help you lower your bills. You can go and try to negotiate. You can call the different providers that you have, whether it's your cable, your phone, your insurance. The great thing about Pocket Guard is you can see here, I'm sharing my screen now. If you go to the accounts down here, and it's going to be under settings. And you come over here under settings and you look right here. It says lower your bills. Lower your bills is a great feature. This is a fake account I have set up so it doesn't have these connected. But if I had my AT&T wireless phone connected on this, my bill would automatically pay this for me, and it would look at ways of lowering the bills. It would negotiate that for me. It is part of Pocket Guard's great services they provide. Highly recommend check out not only Pocket Guard for your day-to-day budgeting use, but look at how you can lower your bills through this great service they have and save you money. Okay, so now that we've seen how Pocket Guard can help us negotiate and lower our bills, third thing we need to do is cancel unused subscriptions and memberships. And Pocket Guard can help with that as well. It'll identify where all of those are at. But even if you're going to do it on your own, look at your history over your payments, whether it's from your credit card, your bank statements, and look at where subscriptions are. It could be small things like $3.99 here, $1.99 for this subscription. Those things can add up. Maybe you have a gym membership you haven't been using. Find ways to cut those. Get rid of things you're not using, or memberships that offer you services that you're really not using. I love my Amazon Prime, but maybe I would need to cut that if things weren't able to be where they're at. If I needed to cut expenses, that's something I could cut. That's maybe about $15 a month, $12 a month, depending how you break it down. And that's money I could use, and it would probably save me money because then I'd be less likely to buy stuff on Amazon because I'd have to pay for the shipping. So that's just one thing. Again, there's no right way. There's no, this is what you should do. You have to figure out what works for you and what is manageable for your lifestyle. But you need to be willing to look at that. If you're truly in a place where you need to make headway, you need to cut expenses, you need to get out of debt, or you need to start making headway toward your retirement, then you need to be willing to make some sacrifices. And that's okay. We all go through phases in life where sometimes you have to go without things. I went without cable for years, not because I couldn't necessarily afford it, because I didn't see that as a high necessity in my life. I would have rather spend that money on other things, and it loosened up more time for me to spend with my family. So you have to make decisions for you. I'm not saying go cut your cable. I'm saying make a choice and find ways for you that you can cut out expenses. Find things you can do. The fourth thing is looking at ways of saving on utilities. You'd be surprised how many things we could save on our utilities, whether it's our water bill, getting a water reduction on your shower head, or a shower head that you can turn off when you're sudsing up. You can turn it off and then turn it back on when you're rinsing. Make sure you're not leaving lights on. Make sure you're setting the temperature. If you're leaving the house and you're going to be gone all day at work, you can change the temperature. You can get an automatic thermostat where it kicks it back on prior to when you're going to be home. I'm not saying shut it off completely, but lower it. If you get the heat in the wintertime, lower the amount of heat and make sure it kicks on before you get home so you're nice and toasty when you come home. Or if it's air conditioner, same thing with water. You can save on that. Lights, all sorts of ways you could find to reduce that you could save on your utilities. And again, even if you're cutting out $10 a month, $15 a month, that adds up. The fifth thing is look to refinance your loans. Let's start with the biggest loan we probably have if you own a house is your mortgage. Right now, if you bought a home in the last year or so, you're probably paying a higher interest. Don't panic. Maybe right now is not a good time to look at renegotiating your loan, but interest rates will drop again. And if you can save 2 percentage points on your loan, and you have a 15, 20, 30-year loan, it's a great way to save monthly and put that amount, still pay the same amount, just pay off quicker, or take that amount and put it to higher interest bills that you may have. So that is something I recommend looking into when you can save and that you plan on being in your house for at least 5 more years. Look at refinancing your car. Maybe you bought it and you have a 7% interest rate, and maybe you can get a 3% interest rate down the road. And that starts by saving and reducing our interest rates that we're paying. Credit cards, if you have those, yes, we want to get them paid off, but in the meantime, look at refinancing them into lower interest rates. Make sure you don't get caught into, oh, I rolled it all into this low interest rate But now I have my other credit cards. I'm going to start using those again and maxing those out. It just gets you in deeper trouble. This isn't a way to find more ways to spend. This is looking to save money. So look at all your loans and ways that you can renegotiate and get more favorable terms. And number 6 is DIY, do it yourself, whether it's car or home repairs. You may not be able to tackle the big things, but you'd be surprised a lot of the smaller things that you can do on your own. When you go get your oil change and they say, hey, you want us to change this filter, they're charging you a lot more than if you go up to AutoZone or some other car supply place and you get your filter there. You can change that yourself. Most of the filters are super easy, and you can Google if you're not sure how to do it and save money on that. Maybe you're not super handy. I get that. I'm not the most handy person in the world. So you can't do everything. Maybe it's lawn care. Maybe you pay someone to mow your lawn. Do it yourself. Doing it yourself gives you a sense of satisfaction, and find ways to make it more enjoyable. Those are ways you can save money. It doesn't have to be the big stuff. Look for small ways. So this is Simply Money. We're looking at ways to help you achieve your financial freedom. And today we're talking about lowering your bills and cutting your expenses. These 6 tips can help you achieve that. And just think, even if all 6 of these, if you were to implement something from each of these categories and you were only able to find $10 from each category, that's $60 a month. That's $60 a month you can put toward retirement, you can put toward investment. And you might think, oh, $60 isn't going to add up. Check out some of the other videos on our page on what compound interest and how it works. $60 over a long period of time can add up to be a nice chunk of change and add to your nest egg. So again, thanks for joining us on Simply Money. I hope you find some of these tips helpful, and we'll see you next time.